What's up everyone, and welcome back to another video on the Evolved Jeeping YouTube channel. Today's video should be a fairly short video because on today's video, what we're going to be doing is replacing our previously installed metal storage pockets with a new upgraded version from Vails. Well guys, on one of my previous videos, I installed the ampless metal storage pockets on the front door of my 2019 Jeep Wrangler JL. If you've not seen that video, make sure to check it out on the link above. But in that video, I showed you exactly how to install these, and these were installed to replace my sagging factory mesh pockets. If you own a Jeep Wrangler, either a JL or a JK or even a JT, you've either owned it in the past or currently own it, you would know that if you add any weight to the mesh panel pockets that come with that factory, you would know that over time the mesh tends to sag. It can get as bad as sagging below the door so that when you go to close it, it gets pinched, or it can just be a slight sag. Mine wasn't extreme, it was more of a slight sag, but I went ahead and said, you know what, I was tired of that look and I decided to replace it with these ampless ones. These ampless ones have been on the Jeep for quite some time now, maybe about 6 months actually. And honestly, they were a great addition when I first got them, but over time, I've noticed two minor design flaws with them. And at this point, I'd kind of like to fix those. So as soon as Vail approached me and asked me if I wanted to review their latest version, I said, why not? Because not only does this have an upgraded appearance to it, which you can see is a lot nicer than the other one, but it also has some built-in features that I think are going to solve the two minor design flaws I have with this unit. The first design flaw I have with the ampless one has to do with, I guess, the general material of it. Because it is a metal piece, it is solid. So it is solid right along here. And with the mesh pockets, you used to be able to just basically pull and put something in and then it would close shut. Well, unfortunately, with the metal here, you don't have that ability to pull it, to stretch it around the object. And unfortunately, you can't end up fitting anything because it is solid. So you used to be able to if I took my fist, I could just open the elastic, put it in and close it. But if I try to do that with the metal, it just gets stuck on top. So that was one major thing I had an issue with. And with the Vails one, as you can see, it has this design element here, which is also features because it is basically two elastic straps that are going to give me the ability to secure larger items up against the door. So I can't wait to see how these work once we get it installed. The next issue I have has to do with kind of the overall profile of this. So this was designed to give you the maximum space in the doors. So they gave you almost a full fist, or I want to say 4 inches here, which is great because if you are trying to fit a water bottle, a standard water bottle, you can easily put it there. But unfortunately, that is a negative too, because it means that this comes out a lot further into your legroom. And as you can see right here, it's actually rubbed off the logo from just the passenger side. The driver's side is even worse, but on the passenger side, you can see that whoever's in here was slightly rubbing on the logo over time. So it goes into the legroom quite a bit that it contacts the person's leg. Might not be that annoying, but it is definitely a sharp object against them. So that was one issue there. And then with this part, they've maximized it for the most space. As mentioned though, it's not enough, but because it is a flat surface, this interferes with the seat. So with the Jeep Wranglers, there isn't much room between the door and the seat. And when you add this extra space here, it really limits the ability to get down inside the seat. And these are designed for the manual seat. So they do only work with manual seats. You can't make them work with the power seats. It says that on the website. So that's a little downfall. I have manual seats, so it's not a big deal. But what I noticed over time is that on the driver's side, even though the door will close, you can't access the seat control. So the lumbar lever, you can't actually get to it without actually having to open up the door. A little bit of a pain, especially because if you're on a long drive and you want to adjust the door, you actually have to pull over, then adjust it. You can't do it while driving. So that is pretty much the biggest negative about this is because they maximize the size of this, it interferes with the foot leg space as well as the ability to adjust the seats while you're in the vehicle. With the Veils one, as soon as I open this up, again, this was something I noticed when I opened it up, but its profile is a lot thinner. So you can see here, this profile is probably only a centimeter, so it's gonna be nice and tight up against the door, where this one is almost 3 centimeters from the bottom. So this is gonna be a lot tighter, which means you're gonna be able to access the manual seat controls. Also, these are designed to work with powered seats. So they will work with the 2024 and up models that have the power seats in them. So that is one good feature about this, where these won't. So if you have powered seats, these are totally out of your interest. These are definitely worth checking out. Also, regards to the profile, you can see we are a lot less here. It's a lot thinner than this one, which was probably about that deep, where this one is only this deep. So it's not gonna be as deep. You're not gonna be able to fit a water bottle in there. Maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll be able to get a small one in there, but it's not gonna interfere with the legroom as much as the other one does. So I look forward to seeing how much different that is and to see if this fit is a lot better. Besides that, it's a basic item and installation is gonna be super simple. I do wanna mention a couple things about this product. Just first off impressions are the quality of the product is a lot better. You can see here, we've got some bends here, but they've been fully welded, where with the Ampless one, it is just simply tack welded, and there's actually a gap there. They're using a double panel design here, which is really nice. They have this silver engraved, or I guess laser cut emblem here, which is a nice little detail. I wasn't a super fan of it, but after seeing it, I actually could kind of live with it. They also use a double layer feature here, which actually hides the seam, because this is a 2-piece assembly. You do have to assemble it. Basic assembly, all you have to do is screw it together, but it is hidden really nice. Obviously, we have this nice design element here. Yeah, really clean design. In terms of the seam here, why I point this out is because when you see this Ampless one here, the seam is kind of obvious, and it's just not really that clean. Where here, they've done a good job at hiding it to make it part of the design. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna go ahead and pull this off. Very simple. All we're gonna have to do is undo the 2 screws in here, and then the tabs at the inside are gonna release. To install it, it's just the reverse. Because this installation is so simple, I'm just gonna go ahead and get this installed, and then I'm going to come back to show you guys the features, as well as give you guys my overall thoughts and opinions about it. As you can see, installing these is super simple and honestly should take you less than 5 minutes to do. One thing I want to mention about the installation is that when I installed the Ampless ones and when I installed these, I've actually gone ahead and cut out my factory mesh panel. This is an optional step. You don't actually have to do this. You could easily just bolt this on top of it. And if your mesh panel is in good shape, what that would mean is on the inside, you kind of have the mesh panel tucked in behind, which could kind of act as a divider so you could divide up things inside the pocket. For myself, my mesh panel was in such bad shape that it made no sense for me to leave it in there because it would just been flopping around. So I decided to cut it out so that I had maximum space inside the pocket. Again, optional step, you don't need to do it. You can easily just bolt it on. Especially if you are leasing it or something, you might want to remove these in the end and leave that mesh panel in. So kind of gives you options there. Overall, guys, the quality of this product, I have mentioned it, is really top notch. I really like the way it fits. It's a lot tighter along the bottom. There's no gaps. With the previous one, I noticed that I kind of have stuff fall out. Also, because I mentioned before, the seams on this are fully welded. You also don't have the chance of things falling through. And speaking of that, I did want to show you guys what I was referring to on the Ampless one, where they did not weld all the way through. You can see there's a gap here, which means small things could fall through. I mean, nothing big, but it is a spot that just doesn't look as clean. It doesn't look as professional. You can see the gaps all here. This one doesn't have that. So a lot cleaner design than the previous one that I had on the Jeep. As for the look of it, I really do like it. I think it's a modern military look. As I said, I wasn't really a fan of this when I first got it, but after seeing it on the Jeep, it kind of really does tie in with the chrome up here. So, I don't mind it. If it bugged you, you could easily just pull it off and hit it with some paint, which is also a cool thing because you could also do an accent color if you wanted to. Everything just looks really good and looks clean on the Jeep. So what we're going to do now is look into the two issues that the Ampless one to see if this solved it. So the first thing we kind of talked about was the flexibility of the materials. And as mentioned, this one has the elastic bands. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab this sunscreen right here, which honestly I should probably put some on so I don't get burned, but we'll do that after. But typically if I took this and tried to fit it into the previous pocket here, with the mesh one, it was fine. You could pull it and it would go in. But with the Ampless one, when I would put it here, it would just sit on top. But with this one, I can easily just slide it in and you can see it fully goes in there. You can even go ahead and mount it this way if you wanted to, but that would all depend on the seat clearance. But it does work and I really like the fact that they added it. It gives you the ability to do that. Speaking of packaging space, I know we did mention that this one's a little smaller, but it still fits, this. It might not fit a water bottle. You might be able to fit, a standard size water bottle, but anything bigger probably is going to fit. So it does reduce, but it's still useful. So in terms of the material, this is a nice little upgrade for sure. So I do really like that feature. The next little issue we talked about was the profile of the item and the fact that the Ampless one worked for the manual seats, but didn't give you the ability to access the handles on the seat, as well as it limited some of your legroom. So as you can see here, this one obviously gives you a little bit more legroom, so that's a good thing. And when you come back, these elastic pieces, which I didn't expect, actually help with accessing the handles on the side of your seat. So because it flexes, you can actually flex it in to grab the handles. So it now works with the manual seats, and if you had the power seats, these are definitely going to be the ones to go with rather than the Ampless ones, because it's going to give you the ability to access all of the buttons on the side of your seat without having to open the door. So really like the profile of this. Do I think you lose a lot of storage? No, I think you're fine. As said with the Ampless one, even though it was further out, you couldn't really use this space because you couldn't get anything in. But with these and the reduced space, you still have that option to add things. So overall, I feel that this one has definitely improved some of the downfalls of the Ampless one, which is expected because the Ampless one was one of the first brands, or Ampless was one of the first brands to come out with it. And the fact that Vales has now come out with one, it should be better, as it should have evolved and gotten better to improve the way it works and the way it functions. At this point, I don't really have much more to say about this. It's a simple product, but it's a great addition. I hope that what I've shown you in this video helped you get an understanding of what it can do. As I mentioned, this was going to be a short video, so we're pretty much going to wrap it up at this point. If you are interested in picking these up, they do go for $49. And what I'm going to do is put a link up here or down below in the description that you can click on. It is going to be an Amazon link. So if you have Prime, you could probably get it within a day or two. If you have any questions or comments about this product or the previous item or anything I've shown in this video, feel free to comment below and I'll do the best to answer them. at this point, guys, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Keep evolving, and we'll see you guys on the next video.